This one goes out for all of you right now, specifically guys, probably 25 to 30s. You might be in this situation. You click this video because you're like, yeah, I am going through a hard time. I don't know what the hell is going on with all these different solutions that just don't work for me. I've been to therapy. I've been to counseling. These methods just make me feel worse. Well, that's because modern day techniques and I think psychology, a lot of their methods are geared toward how to solve depression for females. And we have to custom tailor a whole new style or just a whole new method for guys, because as someone who's been dealing with, depression and mental health issues for all of his life, okay, I'll give you a little background on all of this. Growing up, some of you guys know my story, came from a broken home, the whole recipe for disaster, right? Like single mother, joined a street gang, did all this stupid stuff, juvenile delinquent, drug explorer, all the recipes for me to mess up in my life. I was going down that path. Had severe issues with, my self-confidence, just anxiety and all those things. I didn't even know what those things were. I didn't know what anxiety was. Like back in, when I was going to high school, like all my millennials know that if you talk about how you feel, if you're sad or whatever, people just call you gay. And that's just how it was. And you can be sad if one of your friends died or whatever, right? Because it's realistic. But then, like, if you had if it wasn't drastic, if it wasn't like something like where everybody could empathize and go like, oh yeah, your parents died, so yeah, that guy's crying, man. Let's be a friend. For any other reason, just guys didn't know how to like talk to each other, help each other out. I'm pretty sure it's the same today. But I do see the conversations changing amongst young men. A lot of people are talking about how they had a panic attack. Man, that blows my mind. In college, if anybody said they had a panic attack, somebody would slap them across the face. Like, it's just a different time. And I think now people are more aware of mental health. There's labels behind these feelings. We can describe what's going on internally. Back in my day, it's so funny saying that, but when I was growing up, these things just didn't exist because there was no word for it. Or maybe there was a word, but it wasn't in common usage. So having anxiety, having depression, the depression, we only knew about that being like an economic collapse. We heard of the word depression or low self-esteem or whatever, but people just wrote you off as being a little bitch. And you can call it toxic masculinity or whatever the hell you want to call it. That's just how things were, and we didn't know how to process a lot of those things. So I think for me, I went throughout life just unaware of what's going on internally. I'm just fighting this battle, extremely angry at the world, just attacking random people, because I just feel sad one day. I don't know. Someone looked at me weird. And people who grew up in LA or like been around that culture, you know what I'm talking about. Why you mad dogging me? And then you start fighting or whatever, right? That was over, 20 years for me. It feels like a different person. But fast forward into today, you don't have that culture of people being so aggressive and hiding, young males hiding their hurt through aggression. It's like that aggression is gone, but the sadness is still there. And now what's happening is, instead of, I think my generation, yeah, we had people, committing like self-death, whatever the word is today that's kindly used. I just don't want to get caught by the algorithm. But we have people that did that in my generation, but it was hardcore. It was like Kurt Cobain style, you know, like we had it just more intense and aggressive. And I think that dudes just fought things out or shot things out or whatever. It was expressed externally. So if I'm mad at the world, I'm going out and I'm getting you. I do think it still exists today, but what I'm seeing more is a shift from people attacking themselves. And so that's probably why we see an increase in suicide. We see an increase in like a lot of young men just first they go away and hide from society. And then two, like they just feel like there's nothing left out there for them. And I know things are just going to get a little sad right now, but I feel like this is something that I've been thinking about and wanting to talk about for a really, really long time. Because it reminds me of me at a certain age. And I'm 39 right now. And I didn't really have a sibling. Like I do have a brother that's 12 years older than me, but I've only known him for like 2 years of my life. Because as soon as I was born, he went to boarding school. And then after that, he went to university. And I saw him like for 2 summers. So I think it's really important to have some type of person that's probably a little bit ahead of you, whether it's a big brother or a mentor who's been through the same things, to tell you like this isn't forever if you make the right steps to change the situation that you're in, or else you are going to end up like pretty fucked up if you don't do anything about it, or if you don't have the right tools to move in the right direction. And for me, I would go and to counseling and therapy, or like, you know, I've been through couples therapy when I was having issues with my girlfriend at the time. I've been through the counselor. I had to go, you know, because the school was like, oh yeah, anger problems. You had to go to anger management, whatever. I did all those things and something just didn't click for me. And I think that was a huge part as to why I decided to study psychology, and I wanted to eventually become a psychiatrist and work in the jail system. I didn't take that path. Obviously, I became a clown on YouTube, but I did eventually get my bachelor's in psychology, and a lot of it is probably, I think a lot of the reasons why people pursue psychology is because they're trying to figure themselves out too, because it's fascinating understanding you and people and how we think and tick and how we're developed and stuff like that, right? And a lot of it is probably just me trying to self-medicate and understand. And over the years, like, I've been seeing this same thing happening over and over again. Is like, well, for one, they go, guys don't talk about their feelings enough, and guys don't express this enough, or guys don't do this enough, and there's toxic masculinity, so, you know, they're too tough to talk about how they really feel. Well, newsflash, I just want to say to people that are addressing this, the way that you're judging is like basically making fun of a kid. It's like kicking someone when they're down. You don't make fun of a kid for not knowing algebra before they know arithmetic. Damn, I'm so Asian. But how do you expect someone to identify like what's going on internally if they don't even know the words to express how they feel, or they haven't taken the time to understand that, right? I've seen this. I've observed like the difference in emotional intelligence in children, and like there is clearly a gender difference. Like if you talk to a girl about what they're feeling, whatever, they can describe such like so much more advanced than a boy can in most cases, right? Someone who's going to be like, "Nuh-uh, my nephew can do," yeah, maybe they're an exception, but generally, right? Like the way that even event, like, yeah, there is the environmental of guys not being able to express or whatever. But if you just, before these like gender norms are put onto children, I feel like women have a whole box of crayons that are like 150 colors of different shades, and men have like the 8, colors or whatever it is. So they only have black, white, gray, or whatever, right? And to make it their fault for not understanding that or not being able to express or understand fully, like, see, that just never made any sense to me. Because when I would get into arguments with some of my exes, like, they'll be like, you're not romantic enough. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what am I supposed to do? I don't know. Like, what does romance look like? And they're like, oh, you should know already. And I'm like, that doesn't help, right? I guess it's like, you should know already is the kind of answer that a lot of guys get. Another thing is, when I was told that I was unemotional, people thought that I was withholding how I felt on purpose to hide something. But that wasn't the case. One, I think when you grow up not understanding how to express yourself, or let's say like you get conditioned or used to, like, for example, a lot of guys, when they get sad, that sadness turns into hurt and that hurt turns into anger, right? And some people, they can see that and they go, why don't you just be sad? Like, why you got to mask it in anger? But you're telling someone who's doing this subconsciously, like, they're not willingly doing this. Maybe some people are because they're embarrassed. But most people, when they're in a high emotional state, they're doing this because they're just absolutely like, they're freaking out. They don't know how to handle their emotions. It's not happening like, it's not like they're trying to do this on purpose. And so that always fascinated me when people don't understand like that thought process. They're really quick to judge it and diagnose it so messed up. And if people had control over their actions like that, then I think more people would actually be able to express themselves in a more honest way. But I always thought that was so dumb. And this is what I think is happening, though. I think that because guys are being judged and mislabeled, it's like they don't know how to cure the symptoms. And also, if people think that men not only do not want to express themselves, but are lying or like hold it back, we create a trust issue situation. Because what if it's just like a toddler that doesn't know how to express what's going on? Like, there was a time in my life where I would get angry. I would start raising my voice. And while I'm in the middle of a conversation, they're like, yo, you're getting mad, dude. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then it's funny looking back because I was. And in that moment, in my head, the way that I'm expressing and the way that I'm speaking, there's just no self-awareness. Sometimes I'm frustrated because I'm trying to get a point across, but the way I'm delivering my words might be harsh, might be hurtful, whatever, right? And this takes time to understand. And so when you're being accused as someone that's like, oh, you're doing this wrong or whatever, you're not even expressing yourself right. Why don't you control your anger? All these things, right? At the end of the day, the person that has anger problems or not expressing himself, yeah, they're in the wrong. But the method of calling that out, how to help them fix it and all that, I think this is the issue with modern day, how to solve a guy's depression, character flaw, lack of communication, lack of emotional intelligence. The method in which it's done, it's very judgmental. It's also assuming that the person that's doing it has the worst and ill intent, and also like people are working it out. Like, not most people don't even know what the hell is happening in their minds and their hearts. They're just reacting to triggers. So if someone's going through a rough time or whatever, like, it's not a logical thing that they can sort out. Even though we all try to have a step by step, it's an emotional experience, and in most cases, that's just a hard thing to kind of deal with. And there's so many things that is out there that I think it gets extremely confusing, and especially for men. And the reason why I say this is going back, I think the if you look at how counseling and therapy and like how talking it out works is number one, it's built for like a situation where you want to express yourself and be heard. But if you don't even know how to speak on how you're feeling, that doesn't really help. You're only going to repeat the stories that piss you off, the situations that you went through. Yeah, you might have someone who's guiding you, telling you like, oh, and how did that make you feel? And then what are you going to do now? Or whatever, right? But all that did to me was piss me off even more. I might even be in a great mood, and then I go into therapy, and then what ends up happening is like they remind me of all the shit that just hurt me or just whatever, and then I have to relive that. But what I realized is just going forward and dealing with the issue directly, that did more than any let's talk about it. Do you want to be heard? All that stuff. For me, that's what worked tremendously well, is taking action on the things that were bothering me, whether it be my financial issues, whether it be my health issues, whether it be like the lack of purpose or whatever it is. Finding out and isolating the root of the problem and then beating that thing like it was the devil himself. Beating that thing like I just discovered OnlyFans. Beating that thing like I was 14 again and I just got my first smartphone. I think that is definitely how I feel. I wholeheartedly feel that is what helped me, but not only me, but people that I know. And they really don't talk about this enough, to where like guys just need purpose. They need a little competition where they can win something. We need a little bit of a fight. And all guys are kind of wired this way. And sometimes I think people mean well, but they just don't understand the need and the desire for men to just win. And it can come out in a bad way, right? Like it can come out in this like guys are just going to destroy the world and be violent and whatever. But on the flip side, I would argue that if you can harness this energy, it's used to protect, it's used to defend, it's used to ward off evil. And sometimes it's just for friendly competition, like in sports. It's expressed in a place where it's safe, and I think we all need that. We all need that tremendously. And if we don't have that, we feel useless. And I think when a man feels useless, I think when people feel useless, they question, what's the point of living? And that's when you get to the point of like, am I just here to consume? Am I just here to buy shit? Am I just here to like eat food that's delicious or whatever, and like achieve a car that I want? And it just feels like meaningless. Why? Why do I have to work so freaking hard to, get to a point of maybe I don't even want this? What's the purpose? And I get it. Like it gets to this point of absolute bullshit. And making someone repeat their horror, making them talk about it over and over, I just don't believe that's the way we should be tackling this problem. So I'm not going to leave you with all of these thoughts. I'm actually going to give you guys what worked for me, an action plan. But before we get there, right? In my case, like over the years, believe it or not, if you guys been watching me, sometimes at the peak of what I thought was doing well, like on paper, I've achieved a lot. But internally, I was pretty fucked up. So I was in a relationship where we fought every day. That could take a toll on you. I had money in the bank. I had all these accomplishments that I made, right? But at the same time, I had something that was still a void. So on the flip side, yes, I think it's good to have these wins in your life, but there needs to be this balance. On the way, though, the journey of going and accomplishing, that was amazing because I was surpassing things that I thought was ever possible. I think for people in general, confidence building comes when you have an idea and this image of who you are and what you can do, and you prove to yourself that that is who you are. When you're in your 20s, you know, you're just into the world and you're not like in a manufactured place like school where grades or other people telling you did a good job. You know, you can now test your ability with other competition. And you can test yourself and see if you are the person that you think you are. And if you don't start testing yourself, you're going to have a failure to launch. And some of you guys are still there and you're still living aimlessly. But it's okay because it's like a domino effect. Once you do start catching on, it's going to be like, it's going to be like one after the other. And it's crazy how these things work. Yeah. So anyways, going back to my personal story, when I was on paper, looked to be pretty fucking dope. Like, yeah, I had all this money, whatever. It was just a surface material thing. And I think a lot of us see that, right? A lot of us see people who are at the top, like, just all of a sudden go through like a crazy spiral. Like Robin Williams, who's one of the greatest comedic actors. He's one of the GOATs, right? He just committed suicide just out of nowhere. He was dealing with bipolarism and all that stuff. And then, so I think, at least for me, when I see examples like that, I'm like, damn, if someone that accomplished and someone that great couldn't get over it, then what the fuck? How is someone like me gonna be able to do it, right? And I'm telling you guys this, like, the balance and the key is really not to put your personality and identity on accomplishments, but continuously having something to challenge yourself is the key. And you have like a purpose. You have like a thing to do. Every person needs a purpose, right? Like when a lot of men retire and they actually die pretty quick, right? It's pretty sad if they don't have a purpose or a hobby. And I think we're just wired a little bit differently. We sometimes are told, and I think this is actually pretty true, but men are valued through what they contribute to the world. We can't just exist. I don't know why we're wired that way, or maybe it's environmental. I got to look more into this. And I know that, you know, in the same light, women are like that too. Because if you think about grandma, like she won't let you cook. She always has to do something for you. She wants to like grab your laundry and clean it for you. I'm just like, dude, just chill. You're a guest at my house. Don't use my laundry. You're going to mess it all up, make everything all pink, right? Like moms are like this too. Like they need to feel involved and have a purpose through you, right? But I think their purpose is more through social. Like they're there for each other. They listen to each other. They have a bond like in that type of girl friendship, right? Guys, our bromance is a lot different. A lot of our friendships are based through external skills and like things that we're both trying to accomplish. Like, hey, let's do a business together. I like how you work. I like how you think. Let's go. It's very based on it's like pragmatic. I think most guys, right? Unless you grew up together, but in most cases, the older you get, you're a friend through basketball, or you're a friend through fishing, or an activity. Some guys could go years just doing that activity with that guy and really like this dude, but know nothing about his kids, his family, whatever, because he doesn't care. All he cares about is his knowledge behind fishing. And maybe they'll have a few chats behind fishing. But other than that, it's like, it's really rare, really, really rare, where you get really personal with each other. And I mean, yeah, a lot of us are just raised that way, but I think it's also what we're emotionally attracted to. Like, as funny as this sounds, like, I get hella excited when someone's into the same hobby as me and we obsess. Like, if you're an obsessive guy that loves challenges, that loves getting into shit, like, guys have there's a lot of, like, guys are really into hobbies for this reason, right? Like, it's just like, you get fascinated, you get obsessed, and you just, like, dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you might be like, you want to compete in it. You want to get great at it, you know? And through this, it's just a super emotional experience, and you feel rewarded by that. And I think a lot of people who aren't competitive or who aren't into these things or don't have that many hobbies, they just don't get it. And if that's more of a reward, like sharing a hobby with someone and talking about it, like if I'm into food and I can talk about food with like cooking or whatever for 6 hours straight, why would I want to talk about his wife? Because I don't care about his wife. You know, yeah, it's fascinating. We all have relationships or whatever, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to learn your cooking techniques and so on. So I think the way that the things that we're excited about, the things that interest us, we just don't spend enough time in understanding emotional IQ, how we feel, how it processes, the self-awareness, because most of us just don't get interested in that stuff unless you're, like, getting into psychology or whatever. But that backfires, because when you want to take action and process what's going on in your head, it's like you feel light years behind, and it's like, what the hell? Like, I know shit. Like, I know everything I do about I know everything about this game, or I read this book like 20 times, but shit, if I applied that same amount to me and how I felt, then shit, that would have been way better. But I want to just let you guys know that there is hope, because as someone like myself who's been through so much garbage, I climbed out of the gutter. And even as, I want to say, as like just even within the last year, I got it really bad like 3 years ago. And I think this was right around COVID. Yeah, this is right around lockdown. I was isolated for about 60 days by myself in a house to myself. Recently got out of a relationship. I didn't feel like myself. It was so weird. I'm telling you, like, I was not only physically sick, like, I couldn't lift the same weights. I was like, man, is this what aging feels like? I would get tired. I would get so fucking tired, and I'm constantly sleeping, trying to catch up on sleep. And I'm just like, what's going on? You know, I had a weird eczema attack from neck to toe, the worst that I've ever had it, like all over my legs. It was so bad it would wake me up in the middle of the night, and I have to take a burning hot shower to, like, it felt better than a cold shower. And I would take a hot bath every day. I was like, what the fuck is happening to me and my mind, my body, all this stuff. And also I'm an extrovert. I love hanging with people, talking to people. So being alone was doing a number on my head. And I was like, how am I going to climb out of this freaking hole? And at the same time, I'm like, shit, what if other people are going through this? How are they dealing with it? And I looked it up. And it seems like everyone had the worst kind of methods. I mean, now there's much better things on YouTube because, you know, people are openly talking about it. But most of it was just like, you just need to talk. You just need to talk. And I did talk to my friends. No one knows what to say. No one knows what to do. And I decided, okay, what can I fix? And I started, maybe I can just look into my health. Okay, I'm trying to lift and work out, but why is this happening like that? What am I eating? Like, eczema is typically something that happens to me when I eat dairy and all these other things like seed oils or whatever. I had to research some more, change my diet completely. At the same time, too, the craziest thing was happening to me psychologically with my experience with women. I've been a horny boy for most of my life. Okay? Girl crazy since I was born. And I would like watch porn. I would look at Instagram and like I would be following all these hot ass girls. And I'm feeling nothing. And I would be around beautiful women. I would go on dates, whatever. And it was so weird. It was like this like emptiness and just no libido and like no emotional reaction. And I was like, what's going on with me? Am I forever gonna be asexual or whatever you call it? Because mentally and visually, I'm just like, wow, she's beautiful. She's hot, right? But like, I wasn't having the same like, oh my God, I need her, like thirst boy. I wasn't having that. So a lot of things were freaking me out. And I was like, well, first, what I probably have to do is I've been so isolated. I've been in a horrible relationship. For the last 2 years, it was sexless. Maybe psychologically, I started to fear women because of I just like associated pain and hurt and low self-esteem through the relationship we were going through. So maybe I need to have positive experiences. And so, yeah, I just started flirting again. And even though I wasn't feeling the date, I was just like, maybe just hang, just be in the presence without feeling like you're going to be attacked. I never thought that, but I guess that's maybe what I felt, right? And one of the things that healed me was being desired. Being in a relationship or dating situation where they find me attractive and they found me desirable. And I was like, wow, she likes me. She wants me. Me? Why me? Right? And this is coming from a mind that's always had relationships. Like, I've been in relationships before. It's not, I don't know why I was in disbelief, but I think it's a symptom of depression, right? Like, you just don't think logically. If you've been in a relationship previously and if they found you attractive, what makes you think women in the future won't find you attractive? It was just stupid. But that was one. And another one was just like continuously watching and trying to understand like how to better my health. Like, is my sleep right? Is my diet correct? All these things. I had to like add all that up. And it took an extremely long time. But at the time I said, you know what? I need to just stop like thinking. I need to go into nature. I need to go hike with my buddies. We need to just go play. Just need to be a human again. Because one of the things that was messing me up was I was in my room too much, just staring at a screen, binge watching shows, trying to like pass the time while I was in lockdown. And just going out into nature, going out in a hike, like that helped me sleep again. And I had insomnia for my whole entire life. But once I did that every single day, it went away like that. Like boom. It was all of a sudden gone for me. And so I think the number one thing a man needs really is one, a purpose and a fight and the desire to. Because when I was beat down and I didn't know what was happening to me physically, I didn't know how to even climb out of this. And if I would have, like I was dealing with fucking erectile dysfunction, never had that ever in my life. And now my fucking dick's like teenager again. But at the moment, it feels like, what the fuck is happening to me? Is this what aging feels like? It just comes out of nowhere, fucking slaps you in the face when you're unprepared. Same with like just feeling absolutely pointless and useless. And this also was during a time when I was still doing JK, but we shut down so many channels. There was a rift in the friend group. There was just all sorts of things going on. I think it just felt like nothing was winning. And it's so odd because I know just being on camera, having followers and all these things, like people might, it's hard to say this when you know that someone out there might be thinking you're ungrateful because they would easily swap with you. And so I think like I'm not ungrateful for the things in the place that I'm at. I just don't even know how psychologically fucked I got, how I got there, and it hit me out of nowhere. And I know back, growing up, like it's been on and off. But I think that in 2020 was one of the biggest, craziest things that I've ever dealt with. And Hannah knows this too, because when I met her, I was just like, something's happened to me. And my health, my energy, how I'm feeling, how I'm even thinking about the world, all that stuff, this is not who I am. I know who I am. It's almost like some part of me has gone. It's hard to explain. It's like I know who I've been, and I know the level of energy that I have toward a lot of things, my excitement, my thoughts, everything was just slow and dazed. So putting into words was just a weird experience because it was just a weird feeling. But anyways, if I could boil this down, if you're in this situation, I'll let you know all the things that help me out. And this might work for you. This might not. I don't know. I'm no professional. And for me, at least, I don't want to take any pills. I want to do everything as naturally as possible. That's just my method. I don't think there's a good or a bad or whatever. I'm just, as someone who's experimented with a lot of drugs and dealt with addictions, I'm just afraid of going anywhere beyond caffeine because of my own history with drug abuse. But anyways, I think the first and foremost thing that we all need to pay attention to, and I can't stress this enough, this is number one. It's a number one because I think it's the most important thing, and it's your inner thoughts. So some people have an inner dialogue, right? Like we talk to ourselves. We have conversations in our minds. We're all crazy homeless people, but we keep it inside. Your visual thoughts, right? Some people, they think in visual pictures, movies, like you're not really talking, but you're seeing. And some of you dumbasses just have empty thoughts. You have an empty brain. There's nothing there but a marble. And I sometimes envy you because it's probably really, really fun. So there is a way to control all the thoughts that run through your mind, and it takes practice. And during that time, when I was going through shit, I had so many just thoughts of mistakes, pains, memory, beating myself up, all this stuff, right? And I ran into this shit about manifestation. And I was like, I hate this shit. If you wish it, you will become a billionaire. So just keep repeating it. But my psychological side came in and said, you know what? There's something called a cognitive bias. If you think about something over and over and over and over, your brain just starts to see it more. So if you think of positive things, or if you think about, oh, I'm getting that job, I'm getting that job, or I'm gonna win that girl I want, we're gonna love each other for forever, or on the flip side, if you keep telling yourself, like I'm a loser, then you just become what you consistently repeat because your mind is attached to that all day, every day, and it starts to see that, and maybe it's like it's kind of like that reinforcing repetition, that self fucking fulfilling prophecy. But I think that's where it's really important, where you got to control the shit that you say in your own thoughts, what you say to yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. You can't beat yourself up. And it takes a long time, but that's just the self-control. It's just how you speak to yourself, that inner dialogue. Once your positive side gets a lot stronger than your negative side, and when you have the ability to look at that and just be like, shut up, you don't have to talk about that right now. You don't have to pursue these thoughts right now. It'll help you. It'll do a lot. Like it'll do wonders to your brain. If you can't, the way that I did it, the first way I did it was I started actually listening to positive reaffirm fucking affirmations or whatever. Some of them are so lame too. They'll be like, you are the best. You are always going to be a millionaire, or whatever, right? I think it reminds me of that scene in Nacho Libre when Ramses has that guy, his hype man. He goes, Ramses is number one. Ramses is the best. You literally got to do that. Like, it's like, I know it feels ridiculous, right? But think about it. Like dudes like Muhammad Ali. I'm the best. I'm a stinger like a bumblebee, You got to consistently speak to yourself in a way that is kind, uplifting. Because if you're not going to do it, who the fuck is? You got to be the one to do it, because no one else is going to do it for you. And it doesn't have to be so embarrassing, because it's happening in your own mind. No one else is watching. So at the least, do this, because that is the most important thing that you can do. 2 would be physical capabilities, right? As a human being, as an animal, you need to feel that. You need to feel your power. You need to feel like all of us has power. When you feel like a lazy, sad, weak little bitch, you don't feel the energy. You don't feel alive. So at the least, do something physical. You got to go and challenge yourself physically. Build it little by little. You'll be amazed at what your body can do. And that's a good way of feeling that raw power that you have within you. The more capable you feel physically, that'll help you build your confidence. And it does wonders to your health and mental health anyways. Because chemically, it produces, wonderful hormones in your mind and brain, and it's like you're taking pills without having to take the pills. There's hella information out there on fitness and all that stuff, and just it doesn't even have to be like so boring. Like for me, lifting weights in the gym, all that stuff was so boring, right? But like finding something fun to do, like paddleboarding, picking up surfing, you know, going out to the park and just playing basketball, joining a pickup game, joining one of those groups, all those things. Joining a like a club, like a karate club or whatever. There's so many things out there. Just do one thing. And I know some of y'all have health problems. You can't do it, but on a smaller scale, right? Like David, you guys remember he was so fat, but he lost a lot of his weight just walking around the block. So little by little, push yourself physically. And for me, I got back to the point of being able to lift what I used to before my illness, running, all this stuff. And right now, not only do I feel back to what I used to be in my 20s, as far as my hypeness and energy goes, I feel way more calm and way more, like, I guess happy is the word. I'm controlled. I feel at one with myself. God, I hate being so Californian. I feel much more connected and less anxious and less like erratic and less just all over the place. And I just feel peaceful. And that's what you want to achieve, is a level of comfort, confidence, and happiness. I mean, you don't always have to be happy. There's a lot of shit that happens on a daily basis. But at least it's like this feeling of whatever happens, you get right back to feeling this baseline. It's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel, angry. We're human, right? We experience a range of emotions, but the ability to reel yourself back to a place of baseline takes time and skill and effort, but it can be done. And once you're there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Another thing was like going back, I think on top of the whole physical capability thing, was health. A lot of the times our issues with like why we can't control the thoughts in our mind, why we're going down a mental spiral. A lot of it has to do with us just physically not taking care of ourselves. We just weren't meant to lay in bed for 20 hours binge watching a show without eating anything, or just water. Just drink some dang water. We're drinking energy drinks all day, and then you're wondering why you have so much anxiety. It's like, bro, because you're drinking energy drinks all day. Like, and some people laugh at this too. They'll be like, it sounds so simple that it possibly cannot be the thing that fixes all this. But I guarantee you that there's also a lot of research. Don't take it from me. There's a lot of research coming out right now that just sleep, water, fitness, and eating nutritional meals can help you mentally. Wow. Right? And then I think that solution just sounds way too simple, and people are like, no. There's no way. What I'm going through something so deep and so important and so crazy. There's no way. But I was super surprised. I thought that I was going to need medication. I was like, this experience I'm going through, it is so crazy. I don't know how this is going to be fixed with sleep. I don't know how this is going to be fixed with some push-ups, or how this is going to be fixed with me just eating meat and veggies. It just all sounds so stupid. But with anything in life, you got to chip away at it. There is no extreme way. Like, if you want an extreme result, you got to do extreme methods. And there are people out there that are hardcore. Like, they'll just jump in an ice bucket every single day until their depression goes away or whatever. But if you're doing things like a normal human being, the best way to do it is chipping away at it little by little every single day, and just knowing that this is gonna work. And it's coming. It's coming from a person that went through it. So like after many, many years, it's gonna finish. It's gonna work, and you'll be in a better place. And not only that, it's like the spirits in the world will reward you for challenging yourself, and inch by inch, focusing on all those areas that you need to cover first, those basics. We gotta have those physical basics before we even go out and wonder what the hell's going on. Like even as like being hangry, right? Like you're having a irritable emotional experience because you're hungry as fuck. You haven't eaten, and then you're starting to think about all these negative things, and you might even be fighting with your friends and shit. And then you have a meal and it goes away. That's because your body's suffering. It's going through a hard time mentally. Of course it's going to be in a different mind state, right? They say never make decisions when you're in a emotionally heightened state. So how do you prevent yourself from all those things if you can control it, if it's easy? It's like a baby. Like if babies don't sleep enough, they don't get their nap, they're cranky as hell. So what makes you think you're any different because you're an adult now? No, you need your nap and you need your baba too. We all do. And some of us just need a hug and whatever. It's like understanding those basic needs, covering those areas first before you have this existential crisis, before you get crazy and like feel like, you know, the whole world is crumbling down. Maybe you just need to drink some water because you've been dehydrated. Speaking from experience, I haven't drank fucking water all day, and I was going through a rough time in my mind. And I was like, what the fuck is happening to the world? Why? Why can't the Democrats and Republicans just get along, man? I need to fucking do something with this shit. And I was like, oh shit, I was thirsty. I'm sorry. Oh no. I'm okay. It's just fucking water. Another one is social and romantic, right? Like I'm the type of person that will isolate when something's terrible. Cause I hate it when people are like, are you okay? You want to tell me? No, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell 10 people what just happened so I could relive the fucking trauma 10 times just so you know the details of the drama. You know, like I don't like that. So for me, if an emergency happens, I'm going directly to the people that can help me. I want action plans. I'm going to fix this, or I'm going to deal with it, handle it. And then when the problem is solved or I've dealt with it, then we can talk about it. And then I can unload emotionally or whatever. But that's just how I process things. But sometimes having, or a lot of the times, just having that social connection, and people are more willing to give you their heart and time than you believe. Like I know a lot of people don't want to like bother folks, right? But just know that a lot of people out there, they need it too. It's like a social exchange. It's like, hey, I'm gonna give you some money through my emotional bank, and then you're gonna give me some back next time. So having a social circle, having some, especially like guys that are uplifting and not depressed like you. It's hella important because you need to latch on to energies that you don't have right now. Someone who can lead, someone that you admire, someone that you look up to, or just someone that just has a jolly vibe. Because sometimes you need that to snap you out of whatever you're going through. And you need to submit to them. Meaning like, if you have a circle of friends and you have a high energy, funny dude, and you like them, right? They're not fucking annoying or whatever. Don't be the sad fuck that's making everybody else sad. You need to submit to that energy. You're going there with the purpose of them influencing you. So you go in and you take it wholeheartedly and you let them influence that energy that you lack. And you can latch on to everyone's laughs, and it'll slowly build up. If you don't have that, watch fun content. A lot of people tell me like, "Oh my God, I was in the hospital, I was so depressed, and then I watched Just Kidding News, and you saved me from killing myself." I hear that shit so many times, and comedy is one of the best reliefs, especially from people that's been through so much. They have the funniest twists on the most traumatic stories, and they can make light of maybe your situation. And that's a great way of realizing that there's so many perspectives and ways you can see what happened to you in your history. You don't have to look at it in such a dark way. You don't have to be burdened by it, and you don't have to be a slave to your own story. And just that's why a social group that might give you different input, that might give you a different perspective, that shit is so important. And if you're not in a romantic relationship right now, start attempting to date. And just understand you're going to be rejected. That's fine, because so will you. You're going to be rejecting people too. And that's just the game. Like, it takes a lot to kind of filter out who's right for you and who's not. And you need to go through the trial and error, because it's skill building. No one's a master the first day they step on the court. And if you are, life's being unfair because you're just a genius. But I bet you lack in other things too. So I think if you can, and if you have the courage, and if you're up for it, trying to pursue romantic, and there's a lot of content out there that's really not healthy for love, for dating. Like, I would stay away from the pickup stuff. I would stay away from anything that tells you about how fucked up women are, because I'm against ideology that talks about one group in one way. It's the stupidest thing. Like, identify an individual, or maybe attack the philosophy, or the ideology that's bad, but don't talk about the group. Like, that's as bad as racism and shit. Like, that's ridiculous. And also, it limits you, because what ends up happening is you start thinking that, oh yeah, that's right, all women are like this, and it further confirms why you're not going to have a date, or why it's going to be impossible for you, or why these hoes ain't loyal. A lot of that stuff is just ridiculous. And it's usually coming from people who aren't happy, who aren't in loving relationships. If you just look at the person who's delivering this message, do you look up to them? Do you want to be like them? Do they live wonderful, loving lives? Because it's like getting advice from a broke person about finances. Why would you get love advice from a loveless person, an angry person who hates the other gender, guy or girl, doesn't matter. Like, all that stuff is ridiculous, and it's not going to take you down a good path. You want someone that's in a loving relationship, that's doing it successfully, and focus on that, not focus on everything that's wrong about society and people. Look at the people that's doing it right. And at the very end, challenge yourself. So I think as men, we need certain things, like with the competitive nature, like even the most nerdiest of nerds, right? Like, all of us are in some way, shape, or form competitive. And in the form of a game, in the form of war, it doesn't matter. Do something that might scare you. Do things that challenge you. Obviously without major consequences, because for me, my risk taking is so high. It makes me so excited. I get myself in mad trouble with gambling and all that stuff, and my past life with drugs and criminal behavior. I think it's like, that's when things go wrong. when male energy gets directed in destructive ways, like that's how things go wrong, right? Like, but if you could do it and if you can channel it, like, yeah, what if you like dangerous and risk, but you do like, I don't know, rock climbing, or like you do surfing, or like other, like we all have different levels of what we consider risky and what we're willing to put our lives on the line for, right? Some people, they're crazy. They'll jump off a plane with no parachute, freaking dive in one of those squirrel suits or whatever, right? That stuff is way too crazy for me. But someone might be looking at me and saying like, you walk down the street, you're crazy. That's too crazy. I never leave the house. So depending on what is challenging for you, you figure that out and baby step it. I think and do something that isn't like related to games or computers, because I think this specific exercise is really about challenging yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally amongst people like in the flesh. So like maybe entering a competition like a marathon, or, you know, like an obstacle course, or joining a league, or doing something that's physically challenging to yourself, but a little bit scary, just a little bit, like learning how to backflip or something, but you're doing it in an environment like a gymnastics place. You know, you're not doing it on the concrete where you would, that would probably be a really, really bad high risk thing. But most of you guys aren't stupid, so you're not going to do something stupid like that. But I think getting the courage to just challenge yourself in things that you've always wanted to do, like entering a painting competition, you know, start breakdancing. Do something that maybe when you were young, most of you guys are, you know, over 25, and your mom was like, oh, that's too dangerous. You can't skateboard. You're going to crack your back. You can't skateboard. You're going to be a doctor. What about your future? I think those things, whatever you wanted to do, that was just a little dangerous, like going, like, you know, mountain biking, whatever it is. Do that. Wake up. Wake your heart up. Wake your courage senses up. Challenge yourself. Scare yourself a little bit. I guarantee you that shit will make you feel alive. And then you go, fuck, I love that. And, you know, that's what we're wired to do. We're out there to hunt. We're out there to go out there and fight. We're out there to protect. And we don't have those things in our lives anymore. We're caged, docile creatures in a box, around boxes, you know? How do you manufacture what we've been doing for thousands and thousands of years? You know? I think that's the issue. Guys today, low testosterone. Why? No sunlight, no exercise. We probably have horrible foods, eating fucked up all day. Great amounts of depression, all this stuff. I think these 5 things: 1, fixing those inner thoughts; 2, physical capabilities, challenging yourself to do something a little bit that you can do every day, small amounts of fitness or whatever; 3, your health. Are you eating nutritious stuff? Sleep, maybe meditation, whatever it is that you need to do. Those 3 things: health, sleep, mental health. 4 would be your social circle, romantic, going out dating, all that stuff. And then 5 is challenging yourself, right? In a physical, a little bit scary endeavor. Those things are what helped me little by little. And I just jump back and forth in all of these things. And I love my life. And looking back at that 14-year-old druggie, I want to tell him, like, life not only gets amazing, but beautiful, fun. You start seeing the same places so differently. You know, you get excited, you get charged up, you want to help others. You're not thinking about who's going to help me, you're thinking about how can I help them. You start feeling energized, excited. And it's beyond happiness. It's like this vibration of like constantly awake, and you're just like, fuck, this is what life is. I've never seen it this way. And the smallest things you feel super happy about and appreciative. Like I'm in the water swimming, and I'm like, damn, water feels so good, you know? I'm holding my girl's hand and we're walking down the street, and it's like, damn, I fucking love her, dude. And look at everyone on the street, so damn beautiful, and it's crazy and it's cool. And then you go in and you have, and I think if I had to add anything here, it'd probably be your career. I think that's what was missing. Is if you don't have a job, go get one. There's a lot of guys out there that are just jobless right now, or they're not working and they don't see the point in it, and they want to be a fucking passive income millionaire. Whatever it is, you need that purpose. And even if you don't see the purpose right now, just go, because you need to do tasks. You need to get out of the house. And some of you guys might just absolutely hate your job and the people that you're around. Go get another one. Get out of there. Go until you feel like you're in the right place with good people and a good work culture. I guarantee you, do all these things help me like tremendously. And at the end of all of this, I'm woken up to a place where I'm like, fuck, man. All right. I think a couple of years ago, I couldn't have shared. Sure, I couldn't even think back because I was still in and out of it. Now, I don't even know if cured is the right word, but I'm at this mental state now where I'm like, oh shit. So this is what it's like at the end of the tunnel. And I don't mean death, but on the other side, right? And this is how it feels, where you feel chill and relaxed and confident and appreciative of the world. And you don't feel pain. You don't feel stress. You don't feel hurt. You don't feel that something's missing. You feel whole. And the thing is, I don't think guys talk about this with each other or know how to process it. But just go through some of these things, come back, let me know. And I'll tell you right now, it's not going to happen overnight, but at least you have somewhat of a blueprint. And don't just take it from me. A lot of this stuff I found online. I went down a massive obsessive rabbit hole of each one of these things that I've spoke about. And I had an aha moment, and I just decided to continuously do it. And like I said, it took years. It took years of up and down and up. You know, like it wasn't one thing that just woke me up one day. It was a series of, hey, there's a couple of good days now, and then a couple of bad days. But the good days are now 7 days instead of only 2 days, right? Like you guys might be out there thinking like shit for months, and then you get one good day. I actually started doing that because when you're in a bad state of mind, you think that every day you're living horribly. But I have a journal, and every single day I would write, oh, today was actually pretty cool. I didn't wake up with a panic attack. I felt pretty good. I didn't want to fight nobody. It was a good day. And I write it every single day so that when I do go through some shit and my head's just like, man, life fucking is fucked up. Why do I keep getting fucked by fucking chance? Fucking bad luck, string of bad luck. And then I look at the diary and my journal says, nah, You had a good 30-day streak, man. Don't let this one day of whatever's going through your head fuck it up. And I look at that and I'm like, you know what? That's true. Yeah, I can't trick myself in my head. And I did this for about 6 months to where I don't need it anymore. Because, yeah, it got to the point where it was so many consecutive days. I don't wake up with anxiety anymore. And even if I do, that self-talk in my mind is so strong now that it's like, as soon as it happens, as soon as like all the bad thoughts start to enter, I go, come on, man. Take it easy, bro. There's nothing to really focus on here. Right? Do you really want to think about that right now? Come on. You got your whole day ahead of you. You got work to do. And I want to do this work. You got things to share with the world. And this is why I'm here today, is because I've been thinking about all of this for quite some time now. And I just wanted to reach out to y'all who might be going through it and thinking there's no end to it. Trust me, there is. It'll eventually come, but you got to take action and just have faith and work toward it every single day. And if it doesn't work, you have to readjust and try it again until it does. But I guarantee you, if you keep working at it and finding out what works for you, because here's the thing about it. There is no cut and dry, there is no one size fits all. Your history, the shit you went through, the triggers that you have, what worries you, all those things are completely different from me. You know, you might actually be on your fitness. You might actually be doing all these things physically correct. And then maybe you're not working on your career, or maybe you're not working on things, but you got to see what fits for you. And once you discover that, then at least you have the tools to go forward and use it for every single time there's a deficiency in your life and something's lacking. You can figure it out. Because the thing is, it doesn't just happen once and all of a sudden these tools you never need it again. You build upon it. It gets better and better and better. So anyways, for all of you who stuck around this long, I hope I was able to give you some type of meaning, some security, some safety, some feeling of hope. And yeah, good luck on your journey. And let me know in the comments below after some time, how the experience was for you. Anyways, that's it for today. If you guys are going through a hard time, just know that nothing lasts forever. Emotions are temporary. And things come and go like waves, baby. Till next time, toodaloo, mother people. So cool.